Oh, there we go. Well, now we are.
All right.
Sure. Thank you. Well, I'll just say everything again. Welcome everybody to the Mastery. If you're watching by video on YouTube, if you want to join us, I have the QR code. Go to dennysmastery.com. If you have not part of the YouTube network, go to Denny's Mastery YouTube and subscribe. We're working our way up to 1,500, and we're going to grow because people need to learn. And today I want to talk about something that I have been reminded of. I put a sticker here in front of me. We had mentioned a few weeks ago. Robert reminded me to go a little bit deeper into value proposition. What is a value proposition? Let me ask you, why should someone use you? The customer many times thinks that we're kind of like a commodity. We're homogenous. You know, there's a gas station on every corner. There's a fast food restaurant on every corner. However, if you're in an area that has Chick-fil-A, there seems to be more people at Chick-fil-A than some of the other ones, right? So what really makes you stand out? If you want to basically, you have certain characteristics, but what I want you to do is align your characteristics with what the client's looking for. So I'm going to do Louise, my co-host here. I want you to get a little interactive in the chat. And I want you to write down, you can just participate in it in the chat. Everyone can chat. You don't have to be afraid. What are the top 3 things, according to surveys, that sellers want in a listing agent? Now, this is just a little quiz. Put it in there. Louise, watch that, and let's see what comes up, and I'll share it with you here in a moment. I'll help you with the chat, letting people in. So, Louise, if you have a chance, read them off for us.
Of course. Communication expertise. Communication, how long and how much can I net? Communication experience, marketing, negotiation expert, knowledge of the market, trust. Honesty.
Okay, I'll give you another 15 seconds. Put them in the chat. What do you think your sellers are looking for when they interview you as an agent? Now, your mom may be different. Your mom may give you a little bit of leeway, even if you can't find the house you grew up in. Integrity, can they trust? Honesty, okay, I see all those. Okay, here we go. Here is a survey that was published by the Keller Williams Research. Gary Keller goes over this all the time in the vision speech. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and pin me so you can see the TV behind me. I've got the survey results right there, and it doesn't vary. Gary goes over this twice a year, Gary Keller, that is, and this is according to what sellers are saying. This is what they want from their what? Their agent. So take a look behind me, and you'll see that number 1, help sellers market home to potential buyers, 22%. Now, what's interesting here is that I'm not really sure how they phrased the question, but there's not they must have been able to answer something so they could equal 100%, because there's nothing over 22%. So their answers must have equaled something 100% or less. So you see, marketing, help price the home competitively, what we call positioning. Number 3, help sell the home with specific time frame. All right. So they need help. They've got maybe some sort of urgency. They want to sell it within a time capsule, and help find a buyer for their home. That's 15%. And I just read one more. Help sellers find ways to fix up the home to sell it for more. Now, you can take a snapshot of this if you want to. We might even make it a slide and share it. I'm giving credit to Keller Williams Research. They actually put this together. Does anything, hey, welcome back. Does anything on this list stand out to you or surprise you?
Help price the home competitively.
Well, right. Now, are you surprised by that?
Yes, because they want higher than what you're suggesting.
Well, let me break this down for you. If you're going to build a value proposition, my point is you should build it around what's important to sellers. So for example, everyone in real estate is going to have the opportunity / challenge that when you go in a listing, there may be other competition. There may be people that you're competing against. And one of the best ways to kind of set yourself up for success is to develop a checklist of what sellers normally look for. So for example, this is real survey data. You can ask Chat GPT if you want to. What are sellers looking for in their listing agent? That will give you good information that may parallel this, may give you some other ideas. Here's the issue. You should come up with a menu of options that you say, and you'll have it backed up by survey results. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, most sellers in your position that ask this question, according to survey, they're looking for, one of 5 or 6 things. And those 5 or 6 things are on a little menu card, kind of like this. Now I put down a bunch of them here. And so what you'll do, this isn't a handout. I'm just trying to give you an idea. You should then have a handout in your listing presentation that lists, I wouldn't recommend you do 9, that's too many, but list the top 5 or top 6, and then ask them, based on these, what's important, the most important to you. And then the form that I have used in the past, I just couldn't find it before this class, Matt, is that's me, and all these little boxes are checked, or there's information in all those boxes. And now I have a column for agent 1 and agent 2. So I am actually schooling the sellers to how to ask questions if they're going to interview. So Matt, you want to add anything before I move forward?
I call that my real estate survival guide. It's top 10 questions, ask realtors when you interview them, and my answers are attached. So yeah, that I can't add anything better.
So groovy on that. Now I have one for buyers here in just a moment. So I'm going to go back to the list for a moment. And I wonder how honest we can be with each other. You can see that. What's the top thing up there? Help sellers market home to potential buyers. Now, that's their perception of real estate. Now, this is a mastery class, so you're going to hear some things that may sound uncomfortable, but I promise you they're true. You ready? Your marketing, my marketing, when you look at just from the customer's perspective, surface level, there's no difference. So you can't say you have a better marketing program than someone else because you're on 15 more websites than someone else. All right, so I'm going to stop right here. The consumers are wanting a high level of marketing, but really, you've got to be careful. That's a hill to die on. If you build your listing presentation on all the money you spend on, quote, marketing, I want you to understand, and I'll stop here and get some comments. If you pass out or you're breaking out in rash, there's medicine for that. I'll let Matt speak. You can market your listing to the cows come home. However, if it's not positioned right, it won't sell. Therefore, marketing does not sell homes. Matt.
Hold on one second.
What?
Hold on one second. I'm on the phone.
He's making lead gen calls while he's on the master call. That's great. So how do I know that? Have you ever had or known someone who's had a listing that sold with 0 marketing? Okay, we all have. Have you ever known someone or had a listing that you spent a lot of time and effort and money to, quote, market, and it did not sell? You see, if something works like physics, it works all the time. When you put water in the refrigerator and the freezer, and it's basically lowered the temperature to 32 degrees or less, you will have ice 100% of the time. Now, if that's important to them and they were to ask you, let's have a conversation around this. Well, tell me about your marketing. How is your marketing different than anyone else's? Who wants to take that? I want you to go, what we're going to learn, teach you to do is go below the surface, because there's more to it than just taking an ad out in the Wall Street Journal.
You could spend $1 million marketing $1 million home, and if a buyer's not willing to pay $1 million for it, it's still not going to sell.
Yeah, so you might have missed the comment just before that. It said, so I'm getting the concept through these guys' mind, so they're comfortable with the fact that marketing doesn't sell houses. But
No.
we're not all the same when it comes to marketing. What are the other ingredients of marketing?
Can you say, well, do you think that marketing is the only thing that's going to sell your home, Mr. Seller?
Well, I don't think it's the only thing, but according to, that's a big thing. I'm looking for an agent that's marketing my home.
Do you want an agent that's marketing your home or an agent that sells your home?
Well, I mean, I would think, thanks, Ozzy. I would think that they're probably tied together.
Well, is it possible that there are other components that will sell your home? Well, I'm trying to say is it possible that even if you market the property correctly, it's still not going to sell?
So use an analogy. So I got Maria. You want to role play this real quick with me?
Sure.
All right. So you're the seller,
Mm-hmm.
and you think marketing is going to do it. All right, Maria, do you eat pizza at all? Okay, gotcha. I've got 2 frozen pizzas. I know you might like a specific kind, but I've got 2 frozen pizzas in front of you. Okay, exactly the same in almost every way, shape, and form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this one's $5. And this frozen pizza, again, exactly the same way in every shape or form. This one's $150. Which one are you buying?
$5, of course.
Okay, but I'm marketing this one for $150. Like it's gonna taste great. You're gonna love it. Will you pay $150 for it?
No, because I can get the same pizza for $5.
Okay, but I'm gonna take a billboard out right in downtown Denver, Colorado, for this $150 pizza, and that's not gonna sell it. You wouldn't buy it. It's got a billboard.
See, I would buy it if it was the only pizza. But if I knew about another pizza that's for $5, then I would buy a pizza for $5.
Well, there's the problem. We've got an aisle full of $5 pizzas that we're competing against. So why would somebody pay $150 for ours?
Matt, if you don't mind me just pausing that for a second and go back to, let's go back to Maria's first conversation with me. If this is number 1 under survey, you should talk about this. Because, if they ask you about it, don't be afraid to address it. It sounded like Maria was attempting to sidestep it. I want you to direct it head on and say, well, and tell them the truth. For example, just reverse of Maria, notwithstanding that analogy, which is a great analogy. It's something like this. So we understand. So you say marketing is important to you. So let's talk about it. Are you a sports fan, Maria?
Yes.
Okay. You're in Denver. Do you ever hear of a football team in Denver called the Broncos?
Yep.
There's 32 teams. They all play by the same rules. They all have the same size team, the same size of football field, and they're governed by how much they can pay their players. However, are there differences in performance between one team and another?
Of course, Broncos is not good.
Likewise. Now, again, I'm not even getting into positioning. Matt's little analogy comes a little bit into the positioning. The difference between one team and another, and their winning record of winning the Super Bowl, because they all have the same equipment, the same standards, everything. Like agents have the same marketing. It's the small things we do that you cannot see. Because marketing, once you throw it in MLS, the world knows about it. So what I'm doing is I'm taking marketing out of the equation from what they perceive marketing is. They don't mean marketing. They mean advertising. They want to see their house and lights. I can tell you, and you can help me come up with a more exhaustive list. What separates one agent from another when it comes to, for example, if a buyer has an interest online or on the phone or on the whatever, what are some of the differences between one agent and the other? How about how they handle that lead? Write this down. Speed to the lead. The ability to get back with someone promptly will help you win more games, just like practicing more. And that should be down. That should be in part of your listing presentation when it comes to marketing. You practice handling, catching the ball. I'm going to stop for a second here. Are you getting where I'm going, Matt, with this?
100%. Yep.
Are you guys getting this? If you want to go and compare your value proposition on how much you spend on advertising, I promise you, you will lose the game in the long run. Marketing is a drug and sellers are hooked on it. I want you to think beyond their thought of marketing. So it can be speed to the lead. If you're on a team or working like the twins are working together, of course, they're sitting there together. What we leverage as a team, and you could just have somebody back at the office. It doesn't have to be a huge mega team. Is said, Matt, as I'm meeting here with you, one of my team members is answering the phone call. I mean, there's potential buyers calling on our other listings. When you hire someone else, they may have their marketing out there, which is the same as ours. They may have hours go by, days go by before they get that. Can you see how that can hurt you? So I don't want you to be afraid. And I don't want you to say that we're in Homes and Gardens and we're in the Wall Street Journal and we're on, ESPN and all that stuff, thinking they're going to love it, but you'll go broke.
Can you expand on that, Denny? What are some more simple ways we can explain it to sellers without talking for a solid 5 minutes?
Well, the simplest way to say it is, well, I've used my foot. All the teams play all the same rules, same equipment, everything. All the agents have the same, they have the same mechanism. Once it goes into MLS, the world knows about it. There's nothing else that can happen as far as letting people know. The difference between one agent and the other is how quickly they respond to the lead and how skilled they are at handling the lead. Now, I haven't mentioned positioning yet, and I haven't mentioned negotiating yet because that's further down the list. And there may be some other things we can add to that.
Yeah.
However, what you're doing, sorry, Matt, what you're doing is putting every agent on the same playing field. Most agents are going to go in there and talk about their websites and all the things they do and their blog, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. I just was drawing another parallel or analogy. Is, there's a lot of people. There are a lot of people that run at the Olympics. There's a lot of events at the Olympics that entail running. They all relatively have the exact same equipment, the exact same training, but there's only one Usain Bolt. So that's in our jobs to convey how we're the Usain Bolt. It's how, and then I've even asked before, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would you agree with the statement that there's not one person that can do more than a team of people? And then I explain how most realtors are one person that attempt to balance all of the tasks associated with running a real estate office. It takes a lot of emphasis off of you, the client, and puts it on just keeping things moving. They don't, they're going from one thing to the next. Where when you hire me, you don't just get me. You get my assistant, you get X, Y, and Z, whatever your systems are. So there will always be somebody there to catch the ball when you throw it to them. Things like that.
And there's some of you on here that are listening by live or even on the YouTube channel that are, they're solo agents, you're relatively new, or you don't have you might compare yourself to some mega team that has billboards, I want you to take that club out of their hand, and that's how you do it. Another thing you could put under there besides speed to the lead and training is time. Now, I want you to remember, if you're sitting there at that appointment and they happen to call you and you got back to them in a relatively fast period of time, and I want you guys to be diligent about that. I mean, there's a lot of calls you may want to put aside. But you never want a buyer or seller to wait. Now, if you're on an appointment, you got to honor the appointment. Short of that, the most important thing you can do is speed to the lead. Now, assuming you did that, you're sitting at the table. I'm going to go back to Matt. Matt, do you recall? It was like, I think last Wednesday you called me and I got your voicemail, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how long it was before I called you back?
Instantly, like within a few minutes.
Now, notice I took him back. Maybe he wouldn't have remembered. Maybe it was his wife I talked to. I don't really know. And by the way, if it took you a week to do it, you probably will find another thing to say. However, you're going to bring it up. Hey, look, that is a differential advantage. And the less experienced you are, means you probably don't have the same level of business, but you have a greater level of availability.
Urgency. Yeah. Yep. So I like that. I like where you're going with that, Denny, because I've used the parable before of realtors are notorious for three things. Number one, being late. Number two, not returning phone calls. And number three, having full voicemails. So then I go into a story. I'm at the table with the seller. So imagine it's Friday night, 8 o'clock. A buyer calls on your property. They want to get in. They're paying cash. They're leaving town tomorrow. It's really important to get them in. When does the average agent call them back? If at all. Right?
Next day.
Right. If they call them back, because their voicemail is full, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then I say, but when do I call them back? Well, let's call them right now. And then I'll challenge my client sometime to call me while I'm sitting at the table or call our office line to prove to them that everything goes to my cell phone so they can always get to me. So I'll say, hey, call this number real quick. And they call my office line. Or then I'll tell them to call the other cell phone. Hey, call this cell phone, which we have a couple. That goes to my cell phone. So just putting yourself to trial by fire, putting yourself to the test. See if you pass the temper test.
It's kind of basic things. One more thing, I'm going to give you a tip to agents that are looking for that extra marginal business. Years ago, I bought a car. I had a car payment. It was a nice car. I felt a little bit guilty, so I thought I had to work a little harder. So you know what I did? In my office, we're kind of in a place where people could walk in, like there was some retail business there. I said, I'm going to stay. I think it was even 30 minutes. Maybe on some days I felt froggy, it would be an hour. I'm going to stay an extra period of time, 30 minutes or an hour, just in case for that marginal business that might come in. You know what? In that, sometimes our best availability is our availability. Am I saying that right? Our best ability is
our best ability. Yep.
And you know what? I had business walk in when everyone else was gone. You might come in your office and say, hey, we have no one to really answer the phone. Take it. If you're new, take it and use that as one of your value propositions. So before I go into the important things of the buyer, I want you guys to participate now. Louise, you can, Louise will see what you put in the chat as who wants to do it. I want you to, we're going to walk in and you're going to say what's important. And I'm going to give you, or Matt will give you, something on this list, maybe 2 items. Believe me, I'm going to bring up marketing. I want you to just embrace that and not be afraid of it. You might not spend a nickel on a Facebook ad. It doesn't matter. Right? So, Louise, do we have any takers?
Not yet. Let me look though. Let's give them a chance to. Let's see. Steve Cunningham had the last post regarding the NFL term. Steve, would you like to role play?
Steve?
Miss Janetta will go.
Janetta, yes.
Okay, I've been doing a lot of talking, so why don't you go to, well, Louise has been quiet. Go to Louise.
Janetta, you seem great. I appreciate your time that you came here to explain all of this. Tell me, why should we hire you over the other two agents we interviewed?
Louise, that is a great question. One thing that you'll find when you hire me is that I am available to you all the time. I am available in the morning, in the evening. I will call you back just as soon as possible. You can count on me to hold your hand and walk you through this whole process, to be in great communication with you. So really it boils down to trust and trust and availability. So you can trust that I will be available to you and to communicate with you throughout this entire process.
I like
Okay.
that. The converse of that, let's think about the converse of that though. Can anyone guess what the converse of that might be?
She never asked you what was important to you. Or, all right, so that you're asking what the converse could be. I'm sorry, I'm answering. I'll let them answer. I'm breaking my rule.
Maria,
Yes.
what is it? Why should we hire you?
Because
I'm not sure you should.
Yeah, I'm not sure you should. But most agents are notorious for three things. Number one, being late. Number two, not answering their phones. And number three, having a full voicemail. Do you know what the advantages are of hiring me?
That's not where I was going, but it's okay. It's good. But yeah, I'm not sure you should hire me. But
Let's go back. I'm sorry.
That's
Let me-
okay.
Let me go back. If you develop, what I'm attempting to do is have you develop kind of a list. For example, this is my list. I've taken it from the survey and I said, well, if they, why should I hire you? I'm going to say, listen, surveys found that there's 5 or 6 things that are important to sellers. So here's what they are. So Maria, what's important or what's most important to you? Now,
There you go.
Communication, marketing, experience, net the most money. They offer guarantees, and I have guarantees. I got 4 or 5. I'll share with them in a second. They're concierge services. So that's my value proposition. Notice I'm laying the menu. Somebody's come into, and you're the surveyor, what's good here? And I can tell you what, if you're part-time in it, or you know somebody, you've got a kid that's part-time in a restaurant, Matt, the answer I like the least, and I do a lot of traveling, so I'm in restaurants for the first time. What is good here? What's the worst answer?
It's all good.
Mac and cheese.
That is a worse answer than saying everything sucks. I want someone to help me make a decision. So notice you start with a list. So, for example, you don't have a list yet. I'm going to go back to this. Let's say you say there's 4 things there. All right, you can see what's on there. I want you to, we'll get back into role play. Most sellers find these are the top 4 things they're looking for in the agent. What is the most important to you? Now, Janetta, notice you were talking about your availability. That may not have been an important issue. It may be true, but that may not be what's important to them. Are you following me? That is the way to basically, if you're having an interview. Now, if you're in the elevator, you can still kind of do it and say, well, there's 3 or 4 things that are most important and kind of know what they are. If they ask, why should I use you? Which one of those is the most important to you? It's not hard to remember. You're talking about marketing, positioning, time frame, and help find a buyer for the home. Let's just go down to the last one. All right. who wants to role play? I am the seller, and I want my listing agent to help find a buyer for the home. All right, who's going to take that?
Beverly Kazam.
Yes, I knew she would do it.
Hello.
So Beverly, I want my agent working for me. I want you to find a buyer for my home.
Okay, great. So I hear that you're looking for, yeah, I'm going to backtrack. Sorry about that. So Denny, we talked about what most sellers are looking for in their agent. Is this your top priority right now? Is for me to find a buyer?
Well, you gave me these 4 things here, and I like this. I like my agent working for me. I want you to go. I want you to help find a buyer for my home.
Okay, and dude, this is a really tough one, Denny. I'm having a hard time with this one.
That's okay. Let me help you. Matt's going to jump in here next. So I'll role play with Matt. First of all,
What do you understand about what we do? What do you understand about what my role is?
well, now you're taking me down a road that I've already told you what I'm looking for. You better address what I'm asking. Here's the thing I want to help you out with. Help find a buyer for the home. Would someone please define what that means?
They just want a buyer for the house. They don't care who brings it.
Right.
So how do we do that? So Matt, how do you do that? I want somebody to help find a buyer for my home. Huh? So that's important to me.
Okay, gotcha. Now, when you say you want somebody to help you find a buyer for the home, are you referring strictly to the agent that you're hiring to find that buyer? Or what do you mean?
Well, I would love it if you found a buyer, but here we go. I had a bad experience once. They just put a sign in the yard and they ghosted me.
Okay, gotcha. So it sounds like not only is the bringing a buyer to or helping find a buyer, whether it be me or somebody else, but it sounds like it's also somebody that's going to put the work in and is not just going to leave you hanging, practicing the 3 Ps of real estate. Am I getting that right?
Yes. Well, what he's doing is clarifying. And so I know even in my first pass at that visually, help find the buyer for their home, I'm thinking they want me to bring a buyer into the home and sell it. So for example, just reversing roles. Okay. Let's go into this. How do we do this? Okay. So just keep on that. Let's just reverse that a little bit. So you now be the seller. So let me ask you. All right. So here's Matt. Here's a couple things that we do. Now you said the 3 Ps. There's a lot of people here that don't know what they are. In the 4th P, what are those, please?
Put a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS, and pray to the good Lord that it sells. But the fourth P is prospecting.
Yeah, proactively prospect for buyers every day. So got that. So you want me to help? Here's some of the things we do. See if this meets your needs. Number 1, we put it out there and the world knows about it. So helping you find a buyer is, I'm going to go right back to what we talked about before, is speed to the lead. You know how many buyers go on to another home because no one ever returns the call? By the way, we're having a conversation. Do you remember when you called me last Wednesday? How long did it take for me to call you back?
Right away.
All of those things we just talked about is what answers that question. Now, let's assume you have a seller from Mars and say, no, I don't want it listed in the MLS. I don't want the sign in the yard. I want Maxwell. I want you to be like Maxwell Smart. Just, get smart. I don't want anyone to know about it. I want you to sell it. Who wants to take that on? I have run into sellers like that. Come on, Jesse.
It's a really easy one.
So Denny,
Now you made it. I'm afraid. How would you do it?
so are you
Yes.
saying in wanting me to be the agent to bring the buyer, you're willing to ignore 2,700 other agents in Des Moines that might have a buyer?
Yes, but now, okay, so you're kind of going to the spot. However, what we want to do, and I think we call this a deflection. What we want to do is have you build a layer cake before you go to that. How do you paint the picture in my mind? You're taking me to the end of the book. Build a case.
So like a parallel or an analogy?
I tell you what, my socks roll up and down every time you guys use a parallel or an analogy.
I can't think of one right now at the spot.
How about you, Matt? You got one?
I don't know if I have an analogy. I like to peel the onion back a little bit there when they say, I don't want it on the internet, I don't want it marked, I don't want a sign, I want you to bring the buyer. And I just look at him like with my head sideways, like a dog that's hearing a really loud noise. And I say, well, okay, what's the significance of that? Because I'm peeling back the onion, building the layer cake. Because
Okay.
because there tends to be something there that maybe they had a bad experience in the past. Maybe they're very private, right? So I want to know what that is. And then I may ask a question along the lines of, well, what's most important to you? Is it who finds the buyer, or is it just the fact of finding a buyer that's willing to pay the most amount of money for the property with terms and conditions weighted in your best interest? If you could only have one, which would it be? Me? And then the other thing is, okay, not a problem. This is the easy approach to it, Jesse. How long you willing to give me? Like, if you give me until my son, until my son's 65, I might be able to make that happen. How long?
Going to the ridiculous
Yeah.
is one of his MOs, but it makes him kind of like, chuckle a little bit, right? On each role play that we did, I think we did 2 or 3. Matt's first thing to do is what? Clarify. Not answer before you clarify. So, all right, so the timing thing is perfect. So if you were to build a house and you wanted me to build it, does that mean you wouldn't want me to hire a subcontractor to help? No. So are you okay then? It's going to take me, just imagine someone's going to build your house or pour your concrete driveway, but you don't want anybody else to do it. So it's going to take them 3 months, or it could take basically 3 weeks. And maybe even have a better job with less money. I mean, which one? So that's a good example of a parallel. Now I'm going to take it one step further, you guys. Now you are my listing agent. Who wants to be my listing agent? We're going to be on the same type of topic. Come on, this is mastery. I want someone to be a listing agent.
I can.
Who is it?
Polina.
Polina. All right, Polina. I know you've called me every week, and I'm just I'm a little frustrated. Every time you call me, we get to the point we're talking about price reductions. And, I've told you that, I think that we're, priced right, and we've had several showings, sure, but here is my concern. For 45 days we've been on the market, you have never showed my home.
Okay. But is there still buyers? Do I still bring buyers through your door, Denny?
You haven't brought anybody.
What do you mean? So we had no showings?
Yeah, but you just said, I said we had 3 showings, but none have been from you.
Well, how did they find your home if it wasn't from me?
I don't quite get it. I mean, they were with other agents.
But how did those agents find the home?
Isn't this kind of an interesting track she's on? So if the property is being shown, whose responsibility is it? Going back to number 1, help market. So part of our marketing process, other than advertising, you guys, I mentioned this last week, talking about how to differentiate yourself. We talked about speed to the lead, etc. How about ACE? We talked about it last week. And you should add this to your listing presentation. ACE is accurate information. Right. That's the A. C is compelling description, and E is engaging photography. If you are having a bad day, open your MLS and go look at some of the photos people have of their homes. It's ridiculous. So again, you break it down. So Polina, that's a great angle to go at. If the home is being shown, all right, who's bringing them? It's you. What else did you say? Go ahead.
I ask him in that case, hey, is it okay if I'm frank? and you be Kurt. You know, you guys have heard me say
Right.
that before.
Kurt
And-
Russell.
Yeah, Kurt Russell, exactly. Russell Crowe. Yeah, I'll be Frank and you be Kurt. Did you hire me to get the buyers through the door or to open the door?
Ah, that's a great line there.
And then we can go into what Denny and I've talked about in the past. You know, the question that we're asking right now is the wrong question. You're asking me why I haven't shown the home. Statistically speaking, 89% of homes are going to sell by another agent. And do you know how many agents are in our marketplace? There's like 6,000 or more. So the question we should be asking is not why I haven't shown it. It's why have not the 5,997 others.
Okay. I got to admit, when I was a kid, my mom told me I called goosebump geese. I've got geese right now. That is a pearl, you guys. Remember that. They're asking the wrong question. Why are 7,000 other agents not showing it? And I mean, if you haven't, all right, who's got a parallel on that? Best way to make a point is give them a parallel. Come on, you guys, step up. That's why we do this silly thing in Recon every day about what's special about each day. We're trying to show you how you can parallel things. How about imagine yourself having a tug of war at the beach. That's family reunion time. And you've got you on one end of the rope and 6,999 agents on the other end.
Who's
going
gonna
to
win?
that? Do y'all see that has a picture? Any all right, so you go to the
it's guys, football analogies, soccer analogies, baseball analogies. Like that, you might be able to use medical analogies. I guess I could if you gave me 2 seconds. But like the sports analogies really, really work when it comes to like the numbers thing like that. It's like, all right, hey, we're on a baseball diamond, and I'm the only player, and the team's got a full bench. Who's gonna win? And let's say I'm the pitcher and I'm the only player on the team. After I pitch the ball, how the heck am I going to catch it when they hit it? The odds are always against me on my own. That's the analogy. That's the parallels you're drawing with these people. It's like the odds are the other people are going to show it. But did you hire? But then you go back to my question. Did you hire me to get them through the door and ensure that they do so in a seamless manner and your best interests are represented? Or did you hire me just to open the door and usher them through?
So we're going to go. Thank you, Matt. That was awesome. We're going to go to the buyer side here in just a second. So one thing I want to say is right now, we talked about this a little bit of Recon. In Florida, maybe in other parts of the country too, and you guys from everywhere. In Florida, we hit buyer's market territory the fourth quarter of 2023. So it's been we're coming up on nearly 2 years. However, for the first year, we were kind of distracted with other things, hurricanes, blah, blah, blah. But I can tell you what, the cat is out of the bag now. Buyers realize they're in control. Now we're having sellers capitulate and buyers are coming in way under. Why do you think that is? Because they can. And we're in a very awkward position where the sellers aren't moving and buyers, I talked earlier that the 4-letter word in real estate right now in our area is hope. Sellers are hoping interest rates to be lower soon, and buyers are hoping interest rates to be lower soon. And in the meantime, nothing happens. When the offer comes in on our listing guides, guess what? The seller now is not getting what they could have got in 2022. They've capitulated, maybe have repositioned 2 or 3 times. Then the offer comes in. Do you think they're happy with it? No, that's a big fat no. And they get angry with the buyer. Let me hear your conversation around that. And sometimes they take it out on you too, but they're angry. How dare they insult me like that? How do you handle that? Let me hear it. Come on. The bottom line is we have to change your thinking. Go ahead.
Denny, I don't want you to be angry at the buyers that brought you an offer. I think we should be angry at the buyers who looked at your property but never put an offer on the home.
That's
And this
beautiful.
buyer is interested in your home.
Right. There you go. I mean,
This-
that would have been that would be my pat answer. Well, you know, you're angry at the wrong person. What about the 13 other people looked at it? Or the 1,300 people that looked at it online, the 13 people that walked through it didn't give you an offer. So, I mean, does that make sense to you guys?
Yep.
All right. Enough of me talking. You guys feel like you're in church. Nobody's talking.
I
Here we
think
go.
I've got a posit to this, and I
Okay.
think it's just people are afraid to look silly, guys. I just want to introduce myself. My name's Matthew, and I've been punched in the mouth more times than anybody on here has ever tried when it comes to this business. Like, I'm the first person to be okay looking like an idiot. So, like, please, guys, engage here, because selfishly, it's how I learn too. Like, all this crap that spews from the top of my head, it comes from conversations like this. And Denny and I really find value in it. So please participate. Like, no answer is the wrong answer. It might just give us a different path to go down. So please.
Well, you guys are working with buyers. Notice here, if you want to take a picture of this, Louise might be kind enough to put it in the chat. The top 4 help. This is so interesting. The number one thing that they want our help for is really, I teach agents to make sure you tell them that's probably not going to happen. Help based on what they think, but I want you to think about it. Help find the right home to purchase. It's 1. Help negotiate sales terms, negotiation. Remember, I believe the 2 top value propositions that we have are market knowledge and negotiation skill. Number 3, there's negotiate sale terms, negotiate price, help with the paperwork. Then it goes into price of competitive home sales, and you can read the rest down to teach buyer about neighborhood. It's interesting. Let's just say, for example, we've had this come up a lot, Matt and Louise, where maybe they don't want to work with you because they want a listing agent who's familiar with the area. Now, I just had the idea that if you had this information at your disposal in a listing presentation and say, listen, well, that's interesting. You bring that up, Mr. Seller, that you know that the buyers, when they really rank order the agent they want to work with, only 2% of them said neighborhood knowledge. You see how you can combat that with that stat? And if you're going to use stats like this, you guys have a copy of it, because you saying it is not near as powerful as you have it in print and pointing to it. So, who wants to do a role play around a buyer interview? What you say? What
can
did that
go.
go? Who? All right, Jess, let's go. You got your thinking cap on, so let's do it.
I always freeze up on these calls. Okay.
Don't worry about it. I hope you do. Because I like I said, I've been punched in the mouth more times than anybody has ever tried. This is, man, I wish you guys could hear some of my early phone calls. I really do. God, they were terrible. So please don't even say stuff like that. You're perfectly fine. You're in the right place. Let's go.
So what am I presenting? Are you presenting an objection or?
Yeah, well, you're in let's just do Matt this time. He's interviewing you as a potential buyer, and he's interviewing agents to work with him.
Okay. After everything I've gone through today, are you ready to put me to work, Matt?
Oh man, you're a nice guy, Jesse. We're interviewing a couple other agents, because I hear now that we have to pay for commissions, and we're hoping that we might be able to get a little bit better of a deal on that.
Okay. So you're wanting a better deal on commission. Other than that, is there any other reason? And you wouldn't put me to work?
No, I mean, we just, you're a great guy. We just, now that we have to pay the commission,
Mm-hmm.
we just want to make sure that, whatever comes out of our pocket, we don't, it's the least amount as possible.
Okay. So commission, and then you said you're interviewing other agents. Is there
Well, just
anything-
because of commission.
Oh, because of commission. Okay. Very good. I I seem to always go straight for the end result. So here's my verbiage. It's 3% or whatever can be negotiated in the purchase agreement that a seller is offering, whichever is greater. So we have flexibility in terms of how that's being paid. And there's four things. This is how I explain it. There's four things that can happen.
Ask, please. Now you're talking, you're still talking, so ask.
Yeah. So may I explain like four possible scenarios?
No, you can ask me what I would like the commission to be.
Okay. What would you like the commission to be, Matt?
Well, I mean, it looks like you may be charging 4%. And, I don't really know what the norm is, but if you're charging 4, maybe the next guy will do 3, and, and maybe we can get a 2.5. I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
Well, if I could find out from all the sellers of the properties you want to look at what they're offering up front, what they're paying for it, is that something that would be of help to you?
I mean, I guess that would help, but what the, what ultimately the buyer's agent, I negotiate what you earn today.
No. Yeah.
So if the buyer's paying 4% and or if I'm having to pay you 4%, and the seller's only paying 3% or 2%, then I've got to make up the difference.
What if I could get the difference in seller paid closing costs from the seller a different way?
What does that mean?
Great question. So let's say the purchase agreement says the seller's paying 3%, but we agree to 4%. And I just tell the lender, hey, put on the pre-approval letter that we need X number of dollars in closing costs where the seller pays the difference. Because ultimately it's debits and credits on a balance sheet upon closing.
Time here. So Matt, unpack this a little bit for me because it was a little zigzaggy. I have a comment, but I want to hear your direct comments, you being involved in it.
Yeah. So Jesse, from the beginning, get clarity. Because I'm saying I'm interviewing other agents. And I know you've got nerves, and that's okay, but I'm interviewing other agents. I know it's my understanding we have to pay commission now. There was another avenue you could have gone. I was laying down crumbs for you to pick up. First, get clarity on the commission. Okay, well, what were you hoping it would be? We charge X% for our services. What were you hoping it would be? What would you like it to be? You don't have to ask but what were you hoping? Okay. And then ask them, well, Jesse, would you be surprised to find out that probably about 95% of sellers are still offering buyer's agents incentives? Okay. That's a deflection. Right. But Jesse, ultimately, in your mind, who pays the commission completely?
Well, the seller does.
Really?
Well, it comes from their proceeds.
Okay. Who pays for the home?
Well, I do as the buyer.
Okay. Who
Now,
brings
hang on. I want people to pay attention to this. Now, he could get there much faster, but he's taking one step at a time to get them their emotions in their head to connect. That's why I don't want you to go to the end of the book too fast. This is good. I'm going to get some popcorn. Keep going.
right? So we're in agreement. You pay for the home, right? You bring the money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So where does the commission come from?
Well, I mean, on a closing disclosure, doesn't it come out of the seller proceeds?
That's what we call sleight of hand, Jesse. That's magic, smoke and
Okay.
mirrors.
So,
But who pays for the commission?
well, I guess, are you saying that I do? Because I provide,
Nothing's possible without your money, right?
right?
Home
Uh-huh.
doesn't sell without your money.
Okay.
So who pays the commission?
Then I guess ultimately I do.
Right. So
So
who?
let me ask you, hang on now.
Yep.
Wouldn't a better way to ask, who brings the money? You like that question better? That's how I ask it, because when you ask who pays it, well, the seller's paying it, but ultimately, who brings the money?
I think that was my second question. I tee it like that. I tee it up. So who pays the commission? And then they say, well, the seller. I want them to say the seller. Right. But who brings the money? And that's typically my second or third question. And then they'll say, well, and they might say, well, the bank. Because if you ask them who brings the money, I've done that before. They say,
Right.
well, the bank does. Right.
Now you
But
just have to do it 3 times.
yeah. So who, right. But no, but who, the bank's giving who the money? The buyer. Right. So who pays the commission? And who has always paid it? Always paid it.
Yes, there was a statement you made early on in the role play as a potential buyer. We have to pay the commission now. I want you to listen for that, because when you hear that, this is a slam dunk. They've always paid the commission. And what Matt did is just walk you through that. For example, if you bought a home, I'm not going to repeat the whole thing. So if we can duplicate that, are you okay?
Yes.
It's a year. It's been almost a year since this whole deal, and we were all weeping and gnashing our teeth and biting our toenails and stuff. It hasn't been a big upsetting thing, has it? I think listing agents are actually doing better now because of this. The other thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not in every state, but if the buyer says, "Oh, I'm not going to pay 4%," they'll say, "Well, okay, well, I guess you would ask them, well, you'd go through that whole deal, but can you not, well, if you don't have to pay it, do you mind if if my broker makes that? Well, then we'll just put it in the offer. I don't know if that'll work, but the bottom line is Matt's little story of going through that the buyer has always paid the fee will generally work. And, you get what you pay for. So, Louise, we've been doing a lot of talking. Is there any outstanding issues? And sometimes I get a little bit concerned when we start getting heavy on this, that maybe you don't feel comfortable talking, and that's not what I want to happen. I want you to talk. What did you hear today was worthwhile?
Guys, just so you know, if I may add, there's times when we do this where it doesn't make sense to me. So don't please share your thoughts. If it doesn't make sense, share it. Because I will be the first person to say, hey, I don't know what we're talking about here. That's we want to hear that too. Let's make sure that everybody's on the same track with these things.
Well, for me, I'm usually learning so much and writing so fast on my notes that to drop the pen and turn around and start thinking I don't move from receptive mode to aggressive mode quickly enough in the learning, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I just feel like, oh, I'm here to, yeah.
That's all right. Yeah. But that's what I'm talking about. Guys, we've got to engage in all capacities in this call. The people that know, engage. The people that don't know, engage. The ones that are in left field looking at the daisies, engage. Because, there's been a few times on here where I'm the left field looking at daisies over here on my iPad, and I don't know what we're talking about. We need the engagement.
So when we are talking to clients and they say the things like, oh, what makes you different? We kind of go into saying what other agents do and then talk about what we do, or what agents, they usually do this and they do that. But what I can do is, this is that what we're saying we should.
All right, let me answer this real
about it.
fast. You walk into my restaurant and you say, what makes you different? Well, if I'm a good server, I'm going to say, well, it really depends on what you're hungry for. Most people come in here for these 4 things. What are you hungry for?
I like that.
Right. Yeah, Miss Janetta, it's when people are asking you questions about why you, what makes you, how come you,
Mhm.
Don't get we all get a little deer in the headlights, like apprehensive. We're like, ooh, don't know how to answer that. Well, that's the right posture to take. I don't know how to answer that. So how do you find out how to answer that? Do you see where I'm going?
Right.
Because that's what happens with all of us. I mean, nod your heads yes if you agree. Like they ask you, like, why me? Why you? What? And then you're like, well, I don't know. And that's the right stance. You don't know why you. Then you need clarity. What are you looking for? What brings you into my car dealership today?
Mhm.
Why would you want to buy from me?
Mhm.
Then that knowledge is power. Oh, okay. Yeah. I am a good fit to help you there. We serve great turkey sandwiches because they're looking for a turkey sandwich. Make sense?
Got it.
And I can promise you, buyers and sellers, unless they're a high C personality where they've been studying on this and basically have a spreadsheet for everything, don't know how to shop for an agent. And so they'll ask a question that like, well, why should I choose you? When you say, well, most people in your position, they did a survey and these are the things, the 5 or 6 things, the 4 most important are this. Now you've helped categorize their thinking. And if something, there were probably, you don't have to list everything here. And if there's something on there that you don't know how to really talk around, or you don't feel like you have the value proposition there yet, it's not a sin to not to have it on your checklist, or what you call it? You called it something.
The real estate survival guide.
Yeah. Yeah. So you create the scorecard, you create the yardstick that makes you and your firm and your brokerage and your team stand out. And for example, if you don't have a lot of these other things, but you kill it in one neighborhood, then basically, yeah, most sellers around here like to work with someone that has neighborhood knowledge, and we have 45% of the business. You play the instrument, you play the best. I never said that before. How about that?
Right.
So I know you may have to go, but I don't have to go. I've got a few minutes if you want to debrief. When somehow Matt's got the fountain flowing. So what else? What else can we help you walk away with something tangible?
Something, another slide that's great to pair these 2 slides with that that Gary Keller shares with us at our conventions is the top X number of complaints that consumers have regarding real estate agents. And you'll see how they complement this really well. Like if you can identify the national, and it's a study performed by the National Association of Realtors. If you can look at that survey, chances are just by you being here day in and day out on Recon and this mastery, you're already heads and shoulders above your peers in the industry.
Good point. Thank you, Louise. I almost forgot. Here are my guarantees. If you want them, take a picture of them. If you join my YouTube channel, just subscribe. It's free. You can, I don't know, maybe there's a bell there. I post all the time. Let me know you subscribed. I'll make sure you get a copy of the slides. But these are the guarantees I offer. There's 5 of them. Positioning process to deliver top dollar. And I'll go over them. And you should have some guarantees. Borrow these. Come up with your own. It doesn't matter. Most agents don't have a guarantee. Number 2, if you're not pleased, you can fire me at any time. That's my 7-day listing. The buyer will love your home, or I'll sell it for free. That's my love it or list it guarantee. Number 4, flexible fee, which most likely is the lowest fee on the planet. And last, I guarantee I'll sell it or I'll buy it. There you go.
Denny, number 2, though, you can fire me at any time, but you have said before, but give me 7 days to try to fix the problem, right?
Yeah, but I can't fit that on one line.
Yeah,
So
like
that's what you would say, right? Because
well, yeah. Well, what do you mean you can fire me anytime? Yeah, my listing agreement's only 7 days. 7 days. Yeah, it just turns into a winning conversation. I mean, I blow the competition away. Now I don't get every listing because I think they're knuckleheads. However, I should get every listing because I have a good value proposition and guarantees. Right. What were you going to say, Matt?
No, I call it my easy exit listing agreement, guys, if you want to mince words. Easy exit listing agreement. you know, in other words, say you hire me today and for some reason I'm not meeting or exceeding your expectations, you could fire me at any time. The only thing that I ask is that as long as I'm doing my job as I promised you I would, you keep working with me. So that's the disclaimer I give them. In other words, I'm doing what we talked about. You don't fire me. And if for some reason I'm not, let me know and you can fire me or give me an opportunity to make it right.
Yeah,
There is an
an
explanation.
opportunity to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's extra wording. I just made this on one slide. And by the way, if you have something like, you should have something like that, because I have run into this more times than not where agents or brokerage will not let a seller out of the listing agreement. They'll make it run until the end. Listen, if you're in a bad relationship, it doesn't serve you to, chain them, ball and chain them to you guys. And use that, tell the story that, hey, not every agent's like that.
All right.
So
There is
Yeah,
a brokerage in Florida, and Denny and Matt will probably know who it is. I can't think of the name of it right now. They're not practicing, or they're not practicing the same way that they once did, but they would actually apply a lien to a property if it didn't sell. Like, not only did you not get out of that listing agreement, but you just did not get away from them. Period.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
I don't know.
They would apply a lien to the house for commissions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because of the way their listing agreement was worded. But yeah, guys, I'm a huge proponent of if you don't like me, chances are that I might feel the same way, or in some regard, and in some semblance close to that. So, and I don't want to be in a working relationship that they don't want to be in. I mean, imagine servicing that person every single week. So sometimes it's a lot easier just to let them go. Also, remember the raving fan parable. If you're not familiar with it, but a raving fan, if somebody has a good experience, they might tell one person, if you're lucky. But if somebody has a bad experience, they's going to tell everybody. They're going to tell everybody.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's in those situations when you start to get into something doesn't feel right, they want to cut sling load on you. Best just to let them
Out
go.
of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Mhm.
You keep saying that's the third time this week you said sling load.
Sling load.
What is that?
Sling load. It's a military term. So it's when the airplanes dump the cargo out of the back of the plane. It's the sling load. They cut the sling load and everything shoots out the back of the plane.
I got it. All right.
Mm.
All right, guys. Thanks for being on. I appreciate it. Matt, Louise, thank you for your time and your expertise.
Bev had something. She's been waving her hand.
Hi, Bev.
Hi. I couldn't, because I'm sitting in the car, I couldn't see the slide with what sellers or buyers would mostly look for close up. But I know that our biggest value asset, we talked about it many times, is negotiation and knowledge of the market. And I don't know if it's on that list, but if it isn't, do we actually bring that up to them? Well, maybe this is what they want, but really in reality, like, do we segue to that?
Hang on. Let me ask a question. Market knowledge. Does it come into play in helping find the right home to purchase? Yes.
Yes.
Market knowledge. Does it come in help negotiate sales terms? Yes. Market knowledge, help with price negotiations. Yes. Help with the paperwork. Market knowledge is in play in all of those. So that's a great question. That's how you leverage that.
Right. Yep. I mean, and help with paperwork, market knowledge. I know statistically speaking, about 26% of transactions in the area are going to fall out. So help with paperwork. I don't use an as-is contract with my clients. 99% of my transactions close. 99%. Whereas 26% or whatever of other agents' transactions fall apart. Market knowledge. I know that. Therefore, we use a specific type of paperwork on our properties. So yes, market knowledge.
Yep.
And market knowledge for specific local areas you're working in.
Yep.
The stats. know it inside and out and know your contracts inside and out. You know,
Right.
a lot of agents don't.
Be the knowledge broker.
Yeah.
Amen. All right,
Mhm.
well, it's Friday somewhere, and you guys have an awesome Friday. We'll see you on Monday at Recon. Love you, meet at Knuckle Bump, and be careful out there. Again, thanks, team.
All right.